A 17-year-old high school student had just stunned the track world. In Oslo, he crossed the finish line believing he had fallen short. The Olympic champion was right beside him. The crowd held its breath. Then the result flashed onto the screen. Cooper Luckenhaus had won. Not by a tenth of a second, not by a blink, by 1/100th of a second. The teenager from Texas had just defeated the reigning Olympic champion in one of the biggest races of his life. But what made the moment even more incredible was something that happened before the race ever started. The Olympic champion had publicly spoken about Cooper, and his words now sound less like praise and more like a warning to the rest of the 800-meter world. We'll come back to that in a moment, because to understand why this victory shocked the track and field community, you first need to understand where Cooper Luckenhaus came from. His story begins in Justin, Texas, a small town northeast of Dallas. It's not a place famous for producing world champions. It's the kind of town where kids grow up playing sports, attending school events, and dreaming about what they might become. But inside the Luckenhaus household, life was a little different. Everything was a competition. Cooper grew up with two older brothers who constantly pushed him, whether it was sports, games, or everyday activities. There was always something to compete for. Losing was never fun, and keeping up with his older siblings was a challenge that shaped him from an early age. His father, George Luckenhaus, had competed collegiately and later became the athletics director for the entire school district. His mother, Tricia, served as principal of Northwest High School. In other words, excellence wasn't just encouraged in the family. It was expected. One family story perfectly captures who Cooper was as a child. During a church basketball league season, most parents would have placed a younger child with kids his own age. Instead, Tricia put Cooper on the court against boys several years older. Not only did he survive, sometimes he outplayed them. Even then, Cooper seemed driven by one thing: proving he belonged where others thought he didn't. That mindset would eventually define his entire career. When he discovered track and field in middle school, success came almost immediately. He entered races and won. Then he won again and again. But according to Cooper himself, he didn't think much of it. He simply loved competing. Every time he stepped onto the track, he wanted to win. To him, that seemed normal. He assumed everyone felt the same way. What he didn't realize was that very few athletes shared that relentless competitive fire. Then came 8th grade. At just 14 years old, Cooper was running the 800 meters in 1:53 and 1:54. For perspective, many adult runners spend years chasing times like that. Cooper was doing it before he even started high school. He captured titles at the Brooks PR Invitational and Nike Outdoor Nationals, drawing attention from people within the track world. Yet there was still skepticism. Track and field has seen talented young athletes before. The real question is never how fast a runner is at 14. The question is whether that talent survives the jump to the elite level. And that jump is enormous. Winning middle school and high school races is one thing. Competing against Olympic medalists is something entirely different. As Cooper entered high school, he continued to dominate. He captured the Texas Class 5A state title as a freshman. Then he returned and won the Class 6A championship. Race after race, season after season, he remained undefeated. His times kept improving. His reputation kept growing. But the biggest question still lingered. Could he compete against the best runners on earth? Because the athletes he needed to beat weren't racing in Texas high school stadiums. They were racing in Oslo, in Stockholm, in Eugene. They were world champions, Olympic finalists, and international stars with years of experience. State titles were impressive, but they couldn't answer that question. Eventually, someone had to. That next chapter began under Coach Chris Capo, who helped guide Cooper from elite high school talent toward the professional ranks. By 2025, Cooper was living a life few teenagers could imagine. He was still attending classes, still completing schoolwork. Yet at the same time, he was preparing to compete against the world's best athletes and chase a place at the World Championships. And there was one crucial element of his training that stood out above everything else: his finishing kick. For years, Cooper had developed a unique instinct for exactly when to attack during a race. With 200 meters remaining, something would switch on. That was his moment, his trigger point. his signal to unleash everything he had left. As Cooper later explained, ever since middle school, that's the spot where I really go. It wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was a weapon he had sharpened for years. And before long, the entire world was about to find out just how dangerous that weapon could be. That finishing kick wasn't something Cooper Luckenhaus discovered overnight. It was built day after day, workout after workout, race after race. Coach Chris Capo made sure that final 200 meters became second nature. The move was practiced so many times that eventually Cooper didn't have to think about it anymore. When the moment arrived, his body simply knew what to do. And on August 3rd, 2025, in Eugene, Oregon, that instinct produced one of the most astonishing performances track and field had ever seen. The stage was the U.S. Outdoor Championships. The event was the men's 800-meter final. And standing on the starting line was a 16-year-old high school student. Around him were professionals, Olympians, former world champions, athletes who had spent years competing at the highest level of the sport. Cooper was the youngest athlete in the field by a wide margin. As the race unfolded, it seemed like experience was winning. With just 200 meters remaining, Cooper sat back in 7th place. For most runners, the race would have been over, but this was exactly where he wanted to be. The moment he had rehearsed thousands of times had arrived. The switch flipped. Suddenly, Cooper exploded down the backstretch. One runner fell behind him, then another, and another. The crowd at Hayward Field began to realize they were witnessing something extraordinary. By the time he hit the finish line, Cooper had stormed from 7th all the way to 2nd place. His finishing time was 1:42.27, a new under-18 world record. Not by a fraction of a second, by more than an entire second. Think about that for a moment. In elite track and field, breaking a world record by even a few hundredths is impressive. Cooper shattered his age group record by over a full second. Even more astonishing was who he defeated. He finished ahead of athletes like Josh Hoey, Bryce Hoppel, and Brandon Miller, runners with Olympic experience, international medals, and years of elite competition behind them. Only Donovan Brazier crossed the line ahead of him. The stadium erupted. Fans stood in disbelief. Coaches scrambled to process what they had just seen. Among them was renowned distance running coach Steve Magnus, who immediately posted that it was one of the greatest athletic achievements he had ever witnessed. Suddenly, the impossible was becoming reality. A 16-year-old from Texas had qualified for the World Athletics Championships, the youngest American ever to do so. Instead of spending late summer worrying about homework assignments and school schedules, Cooper was preparing to race the fastest men on Earth. The track world wasn't just paying attention anymore. It was completely captivated. But then came Tokyo. And this is the chapter most highlight videos don't spend much time discussing, because greatness is rarely a straight line. In September 2025, Cooper arrived in Japan, carrying more than racing spikes and competition gear. He also brought schoolwork. While most athletes were focused solely on championships, Cooper was still balancing life as a teenager. At 16 years old, he stepped onto the biggest stage of his life, the World Athletics Championships. The experience alone was historic, but the competition was something entirely different. The world's best 800-meter runners don't simply run fast. They race smart. They understand positioning. They understand tactics. And they know exactly how to neutralize dangerous opponents. In the heats, Cooper learned that lesson the hard way. Veteran athletes box him in. They control the pace. They eliminated the space he needed to launch his devastating finishing kick. When the race ended, Cooper's championship journey was over. He didn't advance. For the first time in a long time, he had been beaten. Now, to be clear, this wasn't failure. Most athletes never even qualify for world championships. Cooper had done it at 16, but it was an important lesson. Talent alone wasn't enough. Speed alone wasn't enough. The world stage demanded something more. Experience, patience, race intelligence, the ability to lose, learn, and return stronger. And that raised a fascinating question. What happens when a teenager who has spent most of his life winning finally encounters a setback? Does he get discouraged, or does he use it as fuel? As it turned out, the answer arrived just 6 months later, March 2026. Torun, Poland. While many teenagers were enjoying spring break, sleeping late, playing video games, and spending time with friends, Cooper Luckenhaus was preparing for another World Championship final. This time, he was ready. The race unfolded perfectly. When it mattered most, Cooper delivered. He crossed the finish line in 1:44. 24, world champion. At 17 years old, the youngest individual world champion in track and field history. Not just in the 800 meters, not just among Americans, in the entire history of the sport. A teenager from Justin, Texas, had achieved something no athlete before him ever had. And somehow, he wasn't finished. Just days later, Cooper made his Diamond League debut in Stockholm, 3 days before Oslo, 3 days before the race that would change everything. Most athletes spend years trying to win a Diamond League event. Cooper won his first. His time of 1:42.70 made him the youngest Diamond League winner since the series began in 2010. A record that had stood for 16 years was suddenly gone. And then came Oslo. Waiting for him, there was the one man everyone believed could stop the hype train. The Olympic champion, the world champion, the most dominant 800-meter runner on the planet, Emmanuel Wanyonyi. At just 21 years old, the Kenyan superstar had already conquered nearly every major stage in the sport. Olympic gold in Paris, World Championship gold in Tokyo, a reputation as the most feared 800-meter runner alive. Unlike Stockholm, Wanyonyi had skipped races leading into Oslo. He wanted to be rested, prepared, ready for the challenge, because he knew exactly who was coming. And before the race, he publicly acknowledged it. His words caught everyone's attention. "Cooper is great," Wanyonyi said. "He looks really strong. He is definitely the future of this event, but we're still here to hold the fort." Those were the words of Emmanuel Wanyonyi before the race. Think about that for a moment. The reigning Olympic champion, the reigning world champion, the undisputed king of the 800 meters. And even he could see what was coming. That wasn't trash talk. That wasn't disrespect. It was recognition. One champion looking across the track and acknowledging the athlete who might someday take his throne. But recognition is one thing. Proving it on the track is another. And on June 10th, 2026, at the legendary Bislett Games in Oslo, the entire world got its answer. This wasn't just another Diamond League race. Bislett is sacred ground for middle distance running. More than 70 world records have been set on this track. Some of the greatest athletes in history have produced career-defining performances here. Now it was Cooper Luckenhaus's turn. The gun fired. The pace was aggressive from the start. As expected, Wanyonyi took control early. That's what champions do. He pushed the tempo, dictated the rhythm, and forced everyone else to react. Behind him, Cooper stayed patient. No panic, no wasted movement, just waiting. Then came the moment. 200 meters remaining. The same moment he had rehearsed thousands of times. The trigger switched. On. Cooper surged. He swept past Wanyonyi and accelerated into the final bend. For a brief moment, daylight appeared between them. The crowd erupted, but the Olympic champion wasn't finished. Wanyonyi responded immediately. Stride by stride, meter by meter, he fought his way back. The gap disappeared. The finish line rushed toward them. And suddenly, the two fastest men in the world were shoulder to shoulder. The crowd rose to its feet. The line arrived. Both athletes threw themselves forward. Cooper dove. Then he hit the track, believing he had lost. He was convinced the champion had caught him. For several seconds, nobody knew. The stadium waited. The athletes waited. The world waited. Then the result appeared. 1:42.08. Cooper Luckenhaus. 1:42.09.